where was God during slavery? We have to allow space for people to question God, for people to have discomfort and frustration and to voice that out loud, and for Christians to welcome that, because that is the first step in developing a relationship with God. God will meet you in your anger. If you're angry, tell God why you're angry. Tell him why, and see what happens. And so I did that. I'm very excited to be making this video, so let's just hop right in. You see the title, you clicked on it. Let's talk about it. First, this video was inspired by two different creators that I saw on TikTok having this discussion. This is a long form response to the discussion that they were having. Let's play the two clips.
Why don't none of the other religions get brought up when negative shit happen? It's only Christianity. It's only God and Jesus Christ that allowed all the bad shit in the world to happen. But none of the other religions, none of the other ones don't worship, do anything. Okay, so God allows slavery to happen, but not Buddha, not Allah, not the universe, not them crystals, not the tarot cards, not none of that shit. It was only God that allowed. Man, get the hell out of my face.
Why do Christians get more hate than anybody? Because y'all force that shit on everybody. Shut the fuck up, ruler. Look at the back of your dollar bill. What the fuck does it say? Okay, shut the fuck up. Got a whole Muslim ban. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you know how many cult leaders have led hundreds of fucking thousands of fucking deaths just because of the Bible? Because they manipulated shit in the Bible, and because people sitting up here thinking that if they listen to this preacher, if they listen to this prophet, that they're gonna get into heaven, and they're reading the Bible and they ass ended up fucking dead. Do you know how many women right now currently in America are losing their rights because of the Bible, because of Christianity, because of Christian beliefs? Fuck is you talking about? Shut up. Just loud and dumb. Fuck being wrong. Just loud and fucking dumb. Not a thought went through your fucking cranium before you made that video. Shut the fuck up. All of y'all ass. Y'all want to get mad about people saying shit about Christians? Be a better Christian. You want to get mad about people coming at Christianity? Hold your counterparts accountable. Just because you are a Christian does not mean that everybody needs to live and follow the same things that you do. And that, accepting that, is a part of you being Christian. Understanding that right along with you having free will, so the fuck does everybody else. You don't get the right to dictate how somebody lives their life just because you open a book once a fucking week.
Okay, so let's break down the clips first and then get into overall the discussion of intersectionality when it comes to Black Christianity. So Rula's point, and I have my notes right here and I have my computer just in case I gotta look anything up. So Rula's points were centered around why are other religions not blamed when things go wrong, or why are we only blaming God? Why is it God's fault? This is an interesting discussion or an interesting take because, like most things in life, there's counterparts or opposite sides of the spectrum. There's day, there's night, there's winter, there's summer, there's awake, there's asleep. So to think that people who believe in God will praise God for when things go good in their life, and to think that on the opposite end of the spectrum that people who are new to their faith or people who don't believe in God aren't gonna blame God for when things go wrong, don't make sense in my mind. And I feel that we have to allow space for people to question God, for people to have discomfort and frustration and to voice that out loud, and for Christians to welcome that, because that is the first step in developing a relationship with God. And that's what's most important. Not a religion, not extremism, but a relationship with God. So I feel that we must allow for critiques, for frustration, and for the vast realm of human emotions when it comes to people developing their relationship with God, because that's the only way it's going to be sustaining. Courtney brought up a lot of good points. She brought up the fact that, hey, well, Christianity is used in an extreme form with cults to manipulate people. The Bible is twisted and used for in the favor of the cult leader. I'm paraphrasing and explaining deeper. I'm not using her exact words. You already saw the clip, so you know what she said. But she talks about how cult leaders manipulate their followers, and the followers think that they are on a path to following God and to getting salvation and to being saved or healed, but really they're being mistreated. She also brings up women and how women's rights, such as abortion, and then also too, sometimes the Bible talks about the hierarchy of, God is the head of your life, the husband is the head of the household, the wife, then the children. So, in the current political landscape, that is being used to kind of justify why women should be submissive. Both of these discussions are kind of on opposite ends of the same spectrum, but I think that they're necessary conversations, because in order for people to develop, and I'm going to keep saying this, the goal is for people to live an abundant, fulfilled life while they're on earth. I feel that the only way to do that is to believe in something higher than yourself. For some people, that is God. For some people, that is, manifestation, their highest self. For some people, that's Buddha, Allah, whatever, religion you practice. Because, hot take, I also believe that we are all serving the same God, no matter the religion, because I feel that God is an energy that can be tapped into, right? So I think we're all praying to the same God. So I don't think we need to have as much conflict when it comes to, different denominations and religions in general, because I think it's all the same. Another topic for another video. The interesting thing is Rula's second video, which I'm gonna play right now, then gets into intersectionality of Black Americans and Christianity.
Okay, so God allows slavery to happen, but not Buddha, not Allah, not the universe, not them crystals, not the tarot cards, not none of that shit. It was only God.
Intersectionality, because we need to define that before we go. We must define intersectionality. Okay, intersectionality is an analytical framework that explains how a person's overlapping social identities, such as race, gender, class, sexuality, and ability, combine to create unique experiences of discrimination, privilege, and system inequality. And I believe, I want to get the creator, the name of who created. Kimberly Crenshaw, a Black woman, created the term. She coined the term in 1989. So it would be unfair for me as a Black woman who believes in God to say that my belief in God means I have to deny the experiences and the oppression of my ancestors. I can't stop existing as a Black woman. That's just, this is who I am. This is who I was born to be. And so I get very scared when some Black Christians say things like, well, if slavery had to happen in order for us to find God, then it's worth it. Are you okay? Like, are you all right? And when people say things like that, I feel that it's definitely a testament to the way they view God. And I think they're viewing God from like the legalistic judgment, rain down fire, and they don't want to say anything that they feel like might offend God. And I just don't believe that's not how I feel like God would want me to live. And I can't tell anyone else what to do. So I will say I'm going to put two screenshots of two books that I think are really great to read if you want to just learn more about Black American history. It's important to allow people to have questions, to ask their questions. And this is a topic that I personally have battled with in my faith because I've seen God move. And I know sometimes people say that in a general sense, and if you're not a Christian or you haven't encountered God, you might not understand what that means. So I'll give a couple of examples. This was 2023. I want to say 2023. I was grieving, and it was earth-shattering for me, and I was really upset. I was pissed, and I went to church, and I, at the time, went to a pretty well-known church in the DMV, and the praise team is amazing, but they're jumping around the stage, and they're singing, and they're smiling, and I was so angry. And I felt guilty because I was raised to believe, like, you don't question God. You know, God's all-knowing. He's ever present. He's everywhere all the time. He sees everything. And so, you know, you don't question God. God is always right. So I had a lot of guilt and anger. And I walked out of the service, and I walked into the foyer, and I saw this woman, and we'll just call her Miss Lady. So Miss Lady sees me crying, distraught, because I was just battling grief, anger, guilt, all of these things, all confusion, frustration. And she takes me into this side room, and I just am bawling my eyes out, and I'm telling her, I just told her all my business, honestly. I just told her everything that happened, who this person was to me, and, you know, just how it all happened so quickly. And at the end, I said, but I know I can't be mad at God. And she said, who said that? That changed my life. Her heart posture and her ability to read the room and just say that changed my life, because it allowed me to develop into a new understanding in my relationship with God that, oh my goodness, God made me an inquisitive person. So God knows that asking questions and getting to the root and the why of things is that's how my brain works. So why would the God who created me be upset that that's how I need to approach our dynamic? So her saying that allowed me the space to release the guilt and then just lean all the way into the anger and the grief. So I ended up staying for the next service, and I was pissed, and I let myself be angry. I was so mad. The praise team was up there singing again, and I had my arms folded. I didn't sing. I didn't say amen. I didn't lift my hands. I was angry. And one thing that Miss Lady told me was, God will meet you in your anger. If you're angry, tell God why you're angry. Tell him why, and, you know, see what happens. And so I did that. I admitted that I was angry. I talked to God about why, and what ended up happening is in that second service, I felt God literally pulling the anger from my body. It felt like it was being pulled from my chest, and my heart just began to pour out. And I was still crying, and I was still grieving, but I wasn't angry anymore. And I feel that every person, whether you're new to your faith, whether you're an atheist, whether you're curious, should be allowed to ask questions. And sometimes they're big questions of, why did my loved one die? Sometimes they're even bigger questions. Where was God during slavery? Why did God not stop slavery? Why did Black people have to suffer the way they did? Did God not hear our prayers? Are our prayers not good enough? Those are big questions. And these are things that I've wrestled and battled with throughout my faith. And I just think it's important to ask the questions, but still remain in close connection. when you ask the questions, or pose the questions, but then push away from God, it removes the ability for it to be a conversation, which leads me to my next point. If you're gonna ask questions, you gotta then have developed a relationship with God that you then know how he's responding. Sometimes for some people it's signs, sometimes it's dreams, sometimes it's, a feeling. I got my oil change a few years back at this place called Valvoline, and the location that I went to, the guy who changed my oil, he was a PK, preacher's kid. And my grandpa was a preacher. So we had a lot in common. We just spun up a conversation and we were talking about God. And it was a really great discussion. And in that, one of the things we talked about was how do you know God's voice? And one of the things that he said was peace. Because the enemy can make a counterfeit of happiness or joy or, excitement, but peace is not something that negativity or darkness or the devil, whatever you want to call it, can give. It's just not possible. Chaos cannot make peace. And so I took that and I said, hey, God, I know that you are the only thing that can give me peace, or things that are of you, meaning love, light, positivity. Those are things that can bring me peace. So whenever I'm making a decision or I'm conflicted, I say, God, bring me peace for, whatever decision I need to make, lead me to it through peace. Even if it seems like there's no way out of the situation, when I feel that peace, I know God's working. And so I encourage people, if you are confused or frustrated or upset or don't understand why God didn't stop slavery, why he didn't step in and deliver the enslaved people, why they had to be raped and beaten and just emotionally abused, physically abused, starved. I mean, just everything under the book. And then on top of that, their descendants having to live and exist in systems that were designed to oppress them. It's absolutely okay to have those questions and still build a relationship with God. Both can exist. It's very hard, and it's something that I wrestle with often, which is why the solution for me is I learned this in therapy, but the idea of accepting but not agreeing. I accept that those things happen and I don't agree with them. I feel in my heart of hearts they should not have happened. I feel that God should have stepped in, and I don't understand why God didn't. And I believe, I don't know if this is in the Bible or if this is just a saying, but the saying of God's ways are higher than our ways, meaning, maybe I should look this up. Hold on. I'm going to look it up, but I'm turning my computer on. That God's ways are higher than our ways. There's a verse in the Bible of lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge the Lord, he will direct your path. I will never agree with or understand why slavery had to happen. And that's okay. That doesn't stop me from loving God, from dedicating my life to trying to be, live a Christ-filled life. What it did do was introduce to me the importance of honoring my ancestors, because their suffering was real. What they went through was real. I would not be here if it wasn't for my ancestors deciding to get up every day and push through such severe, inhumane treatment. And so I have grown to, okay, let's look up, because accuracy is important to me. Let's see. God's ways are higher than our ways. Okay, so it is a verse. Isaiah 55, 8 through 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So because multiple things can exist at one time, that's the place that I've got to, is I don't agree with it. And I don't understand why you did it, but I know that I've seen you move in my life, so I know you're real, and I know you listen, and I know you're a savior and a healer and a provider. I've seen, and I'll make another video, but like the things that I've experienced in my life, I know God to be real, and I know God to be a good and faithful God, but there's nothing good and faithful about slavery. There just isn't. And so it's like that contradiction, but both can exist. And so for me, the solution has become ancestral veneration, which definition is a worldwide practice of honoring, remembering, and building relationships with deceased relatives and forebears. Based on the belief that ancestors continue to exist and influence the living, it fosters family loyalty, lineage continuity, and seeks guidance or protection through active reverence. So for me, it was while battling this, I guess the guilt, the frustration, and the anger of knowing that my ancestors and Black people suffered and are continuing to suffer through systems that were designed all the way back in the 1600s, 1700s, the early 1900s. I needed to find a way to say, I accept this, but I don't agree. And I need to find a way to let my ancestors know that I am sorry that you went through these things. And so for me, ancestral veneration has become a part of my daily life. I talk to my ancestors. I tell them thank you for guidance and protection. I tell them I love them. I tell them, you know, that I hope that they're resting, that they have peace. And I do different things to show them my appreciation. I don't view my ancestors as higher than God. They're not an idol in any way. So I don't feel that it's disrespectful to my connection and relationship with God. But yeah, and so I think kind of rounding this out and wrapping it up is, I think we should encourage more discussions of people questioning and having opposing views of Christianity, because I think that's the only way that people are going to develop a relationship. And I think religion has taken the front seat, and it pushes people away from God because people feel like they have to be perfect, or they feel like Christians are too judgmental, or you know, people feel like, well, I'm a critical thinker and I have questions, so if my questions aren't welcomed in, you know, spiritual spaces or religious spaces, then I'd rather just not believe, or I'd rather just not be with God. And I was going to a church for a couple years, and one of the things the pastor said was, how do you see God? Which I think goes hand in hand on, you know, what's your view of God? If you have a view that God is this all-knowing dictator who, if you do something that he doesn't like, is going to rain down hellfire and thunder and lightning and suffering and pain, well, why would anyone want to submit their lives to that version? You know, when people hear, well, you don't question God, and God is perfect, and God makes no mistakes, but then that directly contradicts maybe the human experience that someone has where they feel like their loved one dying was a mistake or shouldn't have happened, or an accident that they got in, or experiencing homelessness. Or I feel that we do God a disservice by telling people to not feel their human feelings, as if God can't handle it. And and that's just how I feel about that. And I'm trying to see, I have notes, so I'm trying to make sure I hit all my points. Yeah, that kind of rounds it out. So I hope that someone watches this and realizes that it's okay to be frustrated or angry with God, that it's okay to disagree with something that's maybe happened in your life, and to, instead of allowing that to make you push away or to doubt God's existence, instead use that as an opportunity to just be like, I don't understand. I'm hurt. I'm sad. I'm angry. I feel abandoned. But people say you're real, so show me that you're real and help me to hear that it's you. Help me to know in my heart 100% that, this is from you. Give me peace. Give me a sign, So, yeah. That's my take on it. And the goal of this video is to encourage people to bring their questions and their frustration and the vast human wheel of feelings that they feel, bring it to God, and to develop a relationship. And I know some people feel that ancestor veneration, or just like acknowledging your ancestors or saying thank you, is an idol or demonic. I just don't believe that, and I have peace about that. So I will always thank my ancestors. I will always thank them for their guidance and protection. I will always wish them love and light and peace, and I feel like they're with me every day. And I hope that other Black Americans and other Black people who do feel strongly and feel guided to developing a relationship with their ancestors realize that they can do that while also developing a relationship with God, even if, we don't understand or agree with why slavery happened, because I feel that it shouldn't have happened, and I feel that intervention should have took place, and I may never know in this lifetime why God didn't stop it. But yeah, I accept it, but I don't agree, and I show honor and respect to my ancestors every chance I get. And I hope that more people can bring their raw emotions to God and begin to develop and tune their ears to how God speaks to them, so they can develop that relationship. So I hope this video helps. I hope it sparks questions. I know that some Christians may be upset at this video, and you have every right to be, because I don't know what your relationship is with God. So if you feel like this is disrespectful to how you view and receive God, definitely feel those feelings, but I'm not going to apologize for what God and I have come to an agreement in my life, and what I feel like brings me peace, and that's honoring my ancestors as well as developing a relationship with God. So thank you for tuning in to another video of Tavi Talks. I am going to be way more consistent. I have a lot of content coming up that varies. It's not going to all be centered around spirituality. It's going to be a range of topics, but I hope you have a great day or night, and let me know in the comments what you think. I won't be arguing though. I just want to make that clear. You're entitled to your feelings. I will not be arguing with anyone because I don't think that solves anything. I don't think it honors me as a person, and I don't think it honors God. So I'm not arguing. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight.